Tonight's forecast is sponsored by Ashbrook Audiology, where relationships matter.
We do begin with a mostly sunny sky here, as our temperatures are going to remain pretty cold, cooler than average. So we're running about a few degrees below normal. The average high for the end of the month of January is coming in at 46 degrees. So as you can already tell, we're already running below that. And this month has been more so of a difficult month because it's been cold and then it gets really warm briefly, and then it gets really cold again, and then it warms back up. So overall, this month has been pretty considerable, mild to say the least. Of course, we're now going with 0 inches of snow for the entire month of January. There's not really much expected going into the last several days either. So congratulations if you had no snow on your bingo card for 2023. Well, you're doing a good job with it. So anyway, you can stamp that one down with no snow, clear skies, temperature staying in the 30s for us for our overnight lows, dipping right there as well. Our sunset is coming in at 5:38. So what's going to end up happening with that, of course, our sunsets are getting longer. Later in the evening, of course, what's going to happen with the sun being out longer, later in the nighttime, it's going to begin to get a little harder to get colder. And also what happens with that, our sun angle gets a little higher in the sky. And what prevents that from happening, getting less chances of winter weather, but it's possible. And once our sun angle gets out to a certain degree, particularly in the early to late afternoon hours, a lot of times we're not going to begin to see the longer not dark times in the evening hours because the suns are setting later, and then again the sunrises are also occurring earlier too. So that is going to be a caveat as we get closer to the upcoming winter. As we see, we got February, and a lot of you know March has been our snowy months. Okay, enough of my soapbox. Temperatures tonight in the 20s, cold, not as breezy at times, so that's going to be the good news for us too. Temperatures for your Friday getting back up in the 40s. As you see here, plentifully of cooler temperatures, so near normal. 40 air at 44 in Stewart, coming at 45 there in Woolwine. We'll have 46 both in Ridgeway and Oak Level, of course, in the city, to 47 degrees, 46 Boones Mill, 45 as well in both Rocky Mount and Ferrum. Something about tomorrow is that, of course, if you do have trash week, of course, this is going to be laying over the weekend. Obviously, there's not going to be trash taking part on the weekend, but if you do have trash day for Friday, you should be okay now. You shouldn't have to worry about your trash cans and lids blowing across your neighbor's yard because the winds will begin be diminishing later in the afternoon with that plentiful mix of clouds and sun. As you see here, temperatures are not going to be terribly cold, but we're going to be near average, something we're very grateful to say for this time of the year because especially this entire winter, we don't know what we're going to be standing at too. Again, tomorrow here, our Martinsville rating, Henry County forecast giving an 8 out of 10. Again, breezy from time to time, mostly sunny skies, highs near 40, your overnight lows staying in the 20s. Our sunrise is coming in at 7:24 with those west breezes. Switching gears now to the weekend. And the next several days, as you do see here, we are going to introduce some rain chances moving back in for Sunday. But for Saturday, man, 56 degrees. This is about 10 degrees warmer than where we need to be for this time of the year. So if you are doing anything out Saturday, take advantage of it. It's going to be so much nicer than previous weekends we've had. Well, last weekend wasn't too terrible. But are you noticing a trend here? Yes, rain on Sunday. This is now like the third Sunday in a row that we've had rain every Sunday this month of January. And this pattern, of course, has been so stubborn thanks to the development of that La Nina. It's been more of a weak La Nina. It's been more of a mild La Nina than it is a weak La Nina. Thanks to that, because what's happening, the atmospheric jet stream and our feeling of the cold weather has just been so limited. Of course, we had a chance of that freezing rain earlier last Sunday morning or Monday morning, and then of course this time around we're not going to be seeing any freezing rain expected because look at this, 48. This is the average for what is this? The middle to the 27th, 28th, 29th of January right here. So wrapping up January, man, we're going to feel like April because it's 61. They're a lot warmer than we need to be. Again, our overnight lows near freezing on Saturday night, so no weather worries expected. Just a kind of a cold, wet rain, not as cold as last weekend, but more so of scattered showers. It's going to have another storm system moving through. It's going to be producing snow to the west of us like it's been doing all winter long, giving our friends well up to the north, up towards I-95 north and well up the northeast corridor where they're expecting another round of winter weather. Again, of course, they're still digging out almost 1.5 feet of snow. Overall, they have picked up almost 35 inches of snow in parts of Maine. New York City, get this, zero. Zilch, no snow for New York City, so a bit of a snow deficit for them. Again, warm weather for Monday going in there. We may have a chance of another storm system. It is going to bring possibly a slight chance of some rain showers. Now, something I want to quickly reiterate as we begin to wrap up here. I don't want to go over time like I've been doing most of the week. So just a few recap weather notes and more. As you know, yes, we're going to remain mild as we begin to say goodbye to January. No surprise there. I'm sure you can probably have guessed that already. No typical cold weather for January to wrap things up. And it's going to begin to get a lot cooler here for us in February as you make your way. And here's a question all of us are asking. Are we ever going to see snow? And you know, I can't really say yes or no to that answer because nobody really technically knows. At the way this winter's going, we don't know if we're going to see a dusting or even a coating or trace of snow for us. So, like I did say, it's going to get colder to start January, and then we'll see what happens after that because some of these computer models, it's more like, you know, you're playing poker. You don't know if you're going to get all the money or if you're going to lose all your chips. Because the more you, obviously, if you've played poker before, you know how that kind of game you kind of want to risk, hopefully for the best, or blackjack 21. If you can beat the dealer and you get 21, then you get your money, right? We don't know what's going to happen between now and the next couple of weeks because our computer models, in looking at the long-range outlooks, I don't know what we're going to be in for. It may be another repeat of January again where we're just going to get enough cold air where the snow turns into rain and then it gets cold behind those typical cold fronts. So that is where we are with that right now. And I don't have a crystal ball to tell you or not if we're even going to see any winter weather. Now, don't be doubtful. There are plenty of time. We got several weeks of winter left. And as typically over the 30-year average, February, it's generally our snowy month of the wintertime. Has it happened for the past 5 or 6 years? Sort of, kind of. Again, our last big snow we saw back in February that we picked more up, or the foot of snow was back in 2016 Valentine's weekend, and I think 2017 as well. We picked up about 7 to 10 inches for the entirety of that month. In 2018, we had temperatures in the 70s and 80s, and then March was our player for snow. It was every weekend. Of course, that was when I first began here at BTW21. It was like thrown right into the ring of fire with that snow in March. So we will see what happens. Things are up in the air at this moment. So stay patient, snow lovers. We still have a little time to go before we say, let's go ahead and jump in the month of spring. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us on the weekend. We thank you so very much for spending part of your time. And I'm going to go and reiterate this. Luis has been saying this all week. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and head over to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcasts. Search up 2 Men in the AM. Luis and myself are pretty much a little more of a casual podcast. We kind of talk about ourselves. Of course, a lot of exciting things happening in this week's episode. You don't want to miss. That'll air 10:30 on your neighborhood network. Meanwhile, it'll air at 10 a.m. if you listen to our viewers in Radford there and Radio Free Radford on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify. If you get it on the soon-to-be TuneIn Radio, all of our platforms are available at your own convenience. So take some time this weekend, check out 2 Men in the AM, and that's going to be a worthwhile of your weekend. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Your BTW21 weather forecast is sponsored by Zentmeyer Chiropractic.